Welcome, one and all, to the K.O.E. Nation Knife Reviews. Just like so many of you folks, I am on the never-ending journey to find that perfect blade. We're going to grade every blade on a 5-star scale as a tool, as a self-defense implement, and as a knife overall. Also, would we replace this knife if we lost it, and should you add it to your collection? Most important of all, without further ado, let's get to this knife review. Folks, you have indeed arrived here at the K.O.E. Nation for this very special review of the Spyderco Harpy. And yes, it is I, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, one handsome man if I do say so myself. And we are here today to review this exquisite blade, the Spyderco Harpy. Now, for those who do not know, of course, you can find me, Phil K.O.E. at K.O.E. Nation, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter. But you are here to know a little bit more about this particular blade. Now, there's a lot to be said here. This is a marvelous blade. It's a hawkbill. Some people would call it karambit. Some people would call it hawkbill. I'll go with hawkbill for now. It has the trademark Spyderco thumb open, which so many companies have copied some version of this. Like even just like really small like knives of all kinds of shapes and flavors copy that now. The review of this coming soon, but it's got that Spyderco thumb hole, which has just become synonymous with the company, really. And of course, it's got the Spyderco logo. Now, what I love about this knife, as you can see, like my dad always says, a good carpenter never shows his work. And this is one, there's no real external marks of any kind. There's no pins or divots. The only thing you see is this pocket clip, which you can change to 4 different locations. That is really something. So this is an amazingly well-made knife. This was a Christmas present to myself. And it's Spyderco VG10. And it's made in Seki City, Japan. So this is Japanese steel. And there was a time when that really impressed the American market, just saying it was Japanese steel. And that's all a lot of people needed to hear. Now, what many of you may or may not know, the Spyderco has a little bit of fame or infamy, depending on how you want to look at it. The Spyderco Harpy's most famous appearance was in the both movie and novel Hannibal. The novel by Thomas Harris, the book starring the world-famous Sir Anthony Hopkins. Now, the Spyderco Harpy in the book was the serrated version that I have here right now. The one that appeared in the movie for 2 scenes, very briefly, was the non-serrated one because it could make that like shorn effect a little better. And in case you're wondering what knife it is, it's the one where Hannibal against the assassin goes, "Good evening," and then he slices, and then he weirdly enough he puts it between his fingers like this, and they like it's a very visually the scene works where he does this, but like nobody would do this with, like, even me, I'm like, I don't know about, but like in terms of the cinematography, it's like, this person is this creature is a predator, just so used to knives and blades. It's basically a hawkbill, like raptor talon extension of himself. So in terms of cinematography, the knife really works in that regard. The other scene, the famous scene, is when he has Inspector Patsy all tied up and he goes, "Bowels in or bowels out?" And you as the audience like, wait, what? And then yeah, because this would be good for a pull cut. Now, we've mentioned where it appears in Hollywood, and it's made a couple of other appearances. I can't remember at the moment. Let me know in the comments if you know. because the Spyderco police knife just made so many appearances it would be hard to get them all in one video. But the Spyderco Harpy has sort of that infamy, that little niche of, if you're a Hannibal Lecter fan, this is one of the knives for you. So if you've got somebody in your life that loves the books about Hannibal Lecter, he loves the NBC series about Hannibal, he loves anything about Hannibal Lecter or any of the Silence of the Lambs movies, this would be a good gift. You know, whether it be Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, any of those movies from the Silence of the Lambs trilogy, if you will. And no, nobody includes Hannibal Rising in the canon. It's sort of like the Disney sequels. Sorry, but getting back to the knife, really top notch. This is probably one of the finer made blades that I have. Like, if you look really hard, you can see the one pin right there that attaches the blade to the handle, but there's really nothing on the outside here. So like my dad said, a good carpenter doesn't show his work, and there's no work to be seen on the outside here. So a craftsman made this. Now we get to the very difficult part, the grading. For those who don't know, we grade on a 5-star scale. 5 meaning you have to have this before you shuffle off this mortal coil. 0 meaning pass it on by. The K.O.E Nation has advised you well. So we're going to grade this as a knife, as a tool, as a self-defense implement. Would I replace this knife if I were to lose it? And should you add this knife to your collection as well? So we're going to grade this first as a knife. As a knife overall, this really works for package opening, for a lot of more elegant things. Like, I remember I was at a Christmas celebration and somebody needed to open some Christmas boxes. Well, this is a good way to make sure you don't get too deep. So in terms of being an elegant package opener, excellent. Because of its serrated blade, it's going to be able to get through a lot of things. As a tool, and also just considering how well made it is, I'm going to give this 4 stars. 4 stars as a tool. Now we're going to move on to a self-defense implement. Now, in the movies, this is the kind of knife that, you know, the super baddies use, the bad guys, the serial killers use, because it looks imposing. It does. It looks like a fang or a claw or something, and which is why generally people choose knives like this for movies. The reality is, here, I'm just going to use this barrel here. In terms of self-defense, this blade can't do something. Yeah, this is the easiest motion the human arm can make with a blade. Okay, like that's, so these are good for slashing, but that's it. So in terms of self-defense, I'm going to put this at 2.5 stars. It's right at the middle because the blade is excellent for, like, if you need to do slash work, but there's not, like, actually I'm going to go 2.25 because, yeah, you can't stab with it. Like, you got to do this, which is not nearly as natural as this. So that's the one thing. Now that's a mark against it that I mark against all Hawkbill and Karambit knives. They are great as tools. They're not great as self-defense implements. The reason that they're constantly used in movies is because they look cool on the camera. I mean, even in Dune, they used Karambit knives, even though there's really no, like, you're definitely not going to get the slow blade. Anyways. So I'm going to go with 2.25 as a self-defense implement. Now, as a knife overall, because as a tool, it's 4 stars. As a self-defense implement, it's 2.25. As an overall knife, as much as I love it, it's very like, this is a knife I wear to church. Okay, like if I'm going to church or something, like I'll wear a nice little something like this just so I can open packages and what have you. And it's slim, it's elegant. And so, yeah, if somebody happens to see the pocket clip or something, not a big deal, because it's just a little package opener. In terms of an overall knife, I'm gonna, as much as I want to give it more, I'm gonna give it 3.25 on a 5-star scale. It's still excellent knife, still excellent knife. But we're gonna get into why here in a minute, because this is what I like to call, and what some other YouTubers call, second kind of cool, where this knife is cool to you because it's cool to you. So if you're like a huge fan of the Hannibal Lecter movies, this is almost a must-have for that Hannibal loving fan in your life. If you're not really into that movie series, there's really not like this is a great knife, but I don't think you're gonna appreciate it quite as much as like the Hannibal heads, if you will. So I would say, would I replace this knife if I were to lose it? Yes, just because it's a great conversation piece. And like I said, this is when I need to carry something that is elegant and not quite as off-putting as, like, say, my Cold Steel Spartan, because that's a large blade and some people are kind of thrown off by how big it is. But like, to me, it just works. It's a great knife and it can take the beating that my farm requires. This, on the other hand, I would not take this out to the farm. Okay, like, this is, like I said, a elegant dinner carry, times when you're doing more polite society stuff. So I would definitely replace this knife if I were to lose it. Should you add it to your collection if you're somebody that needs a special occasion and somewhat more slimline corporate carry? Yes. If you are looking for a rugged tool to use around the farm, this could certainly do it. But man, it's so finely engineered, you're kind of disrespecting it a little bit. But I really get the feeling this could hold up to a licking and keep on ticking. I've been carrying it on me to different occasions for, I'd say, about 4 months now. And it disappears in your, like, it's so slim you almost you can't feel the weight. So it's excellent in that regard. So I'm gonna say yes, you should add this to your collection, with some caveats. But folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, I've been waiting too long to do that. Thank you for joining me for this review of the Spyderco Harpy.